Can you be homosexual in Islam and is it accepted? This video goes into depth of this question. The story of the people of Lut in Islamic tradition. The story of Prophet Lut and his people is one of the narratives in the Quran that deals with the consequences of moral transgression. Lot was a prophet sent to the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, communities steeped in various forms of corruption, including sexual misconduct, notably homosexuality, which is highlighted in Islamic tradition as one of their gravest sins. The Quranic narrative. The Quran references the story of Lot and his people in multiple verses across several chapters, surahs. Some of the key references include Nas. 1. Surah Al-Araf, Ayat 80, 84. This passage speaks about Lot admonishing his people for engaging in practices that were against natural human inclinations and had not been committed by any community before them. Despite his warnings, they persisted, leading to their destruction. 2. Surah Hud, 11:77, 83. This passage elaborates on the divine messengers who visited Lot in human form. The people of Lot sought to harm these guests, further demonstrating their moral degradation. In response, God ordered Lot to leave the city with his followers, after which the cities were destroyed by a rain of stones. 3. Surah Al-Hajr, 15:61-77. These verses provide a similar account, emphasizing the divine punishment that befell the people who defied Lot's warnings. 4. Surah Al-Qamar, 54:33-39, and Surah Ash-Shu'ara, 26:160-175, also recount the story, focusing on the consequences of their actions and their ultimate destruction. The nature of the punishment. According to Islamic tradition, the people of Lot were subjected to a catastrophic punishment due to their persistent disobedience and immoral behavior. The punishment described involves an overturning of their cities, coupled with a rain of stones. This act of divine retribution is seen as a warning against deviating from the moral and ethical guidelines prescribed by God. Islamic perspective on homosexuality. Islamic teachings derived from the Quran and Hadith, sayings and actions of Prophet Muhammad, generally view homosexuality as a sin. The story of Lot is often cited as evidence that homosexual acts are considered serious transgressions in Islam. Classical Islamic jurisprudence. In classical Islamic jurisprudence fiqh, homosexual acts are typically categorized as zina, illicit sexual relations, which includes adultery and fornication. The punishment for such acts varies depending on the school of thought. Hanafi school. Generally, this school does not prescribe capital punishment for homosexual acts, but advocates discretionary punishment, tazir, which could vary based on the circumstances. Maliki, Shafi'i, and Hanbali schools. These schools tend to be stricter, with some advocating the death penalty, either by stoning or other means, depending on the circumstances. Shia Islam. In Shia jurisprudence, the approach is somewhat similar, with severe penalties prescribed for homosexual acts, though the application of these laws varies. Modern interpretations and debates. In contemporary times, there is significant debate within the Muslim community regarding the interpretation and application of Islamic teachings on homosexuality. Some modern scholars and activists argue for a more nuanced understanding, emphasizing compassion, the complexity of human sexuality, and the importance of not engaging in harm or injustice. However, the mainstream view within Islamic jurisprudence remains largely conservative on this issue. Can you be gay in Islam? The question of whether one can be gay in Islam is complex and multifaceted. Here are some key considerations. 1. Sexual orientation versus sexual acts. In Islamic thought, a distinction is often made between having a homosexual orientation and engaging in homosexual acts. The Quran and Hadith do not explicitly address the issue of sexual orientation as it is understood today. Instead, they focus on acts, particularly those that contravene the prescribed norms of sexual behavior. Many scholars argue that having a same-sex attraction is not sinful in itself, but acting on it is. 2. Religious and social identity. Being gay in the context of Islamic teachings does not necessarily align with the identity politics of modern times. Some Muslims who identify as gay may choose to live celibate lives, adhering to the moral and ethical guidelines of their faith, while others may struggle to reconcile their sexual orientation with their religious beliefs. 3. Reformist and progressive views. Some contemporary Muslim scholars and activists advocate for a re-examination of traditional interpretations of Islamic teachings on homosexuality. They argue that the Quranic texts and hadith should be understood in their historical context, and that a more inclusive understanding of human sexuality is possible within the framework of Islamic ethics. However, these views are often controversial and are not widely accepted within mainstream Islamic jurisprudence. 4. Community and individual experiences. Muslims who identify as LGBTQ+ often face significant challenges, both in terms of religious acceptance and societal attitudes. In many Muslim-majority countries, homosexuality is not only frowned upon but also criminalized, leading to legal penalties, social ostracism, and even violence. However, there are also Muslim communities and organizations working to provide support and advocate for LGBTQ+ rights within an Islamic framework. Conclusion. The story of the people of Lut serves as a powerful narrative in Islamic tradition about the consequences of deviating from moral and ethical norms. Homosexuality, as addressed in classical Islamic teachings, is generally viewed as a serious transgression. However, the interpretation and application of these teachings can vary, especially in contemporary contexts, where debates about sexual orientation, identity, and religious ethics continue to evolve. Islamic teachings on this matter, like many other issues, are complex and require careful consideration of both traditional jurisprudence and modern ethical perspectives. While mainstream Islamic thought remains conservative on issues of homosexuality, there are growing discussions within the Muslim community about how to reconcile faith with the lived realities of LGBTQ+ individuals.